Hello and welcome to another Starfield Creation Kit mod making tutorial. In this video, we're going to learn how to add audio to your mod, specifically voiced dialogue. Now, fair warning, this is quite tricky. I'll take you through it as clearly as I possibly can, but it's important that you know up front that right now there is a fairly major limitation with Starfield dialogue, and that is that currently there is no way to generate lip sync for your mod. So that means that your NPCs will be able to speak, but their lips won't move. I like to hope that at some point in the near future, Bethesda or someone in the modding community will produce a solution. If that does happen, I'll add a note in the description pointing you towards it, but right now, there's no way around it. With that in mind, let's get started. Much like Skyrim, Starfield wants you to record your audio in a .wav format. But it can't actually see WAVs in-game. In order for them to play, they need to be converted to WEM files, which can only be done with a third-party tool called WWise, and that doesn't come with the Creation Kit. To get it, go to audiokinetic.com, link in the description down below, and download the Audiokinetic launcher. You will need to create an account to do so. Once it's downloaded, click on it to run it. Agree to the licensing agreement, wait while it's installed, and it should open up. Make sure you're logged in and go over to WWise. Don't install the latest version. Instead, go down here where it says latest, select all, and go to 2021.1. and select this, 2021.1.14.8108. Install that. Make sure authoring is ticked and nothing else. Press next. Select all on the plugins. Press install. And then wait a million years. While you're waiting for that to download, why not pass the time by watching an episode or two of The Treacle People? It's an animated stop-motion comedy TV series created by my dad in the 90s. It's all on YouTube for free, link in the description down below, and I'm actually producing an audio drama follow-up series to release later in 2024. It'd mean the world to me if you could check it out.
What the mankin' are you doing down there?
I was lying low.
Eh?
Hiding.
What for?
I'm on a chop out.
What's a chop out?
Well, it's like a stakeout, but smaller and cheaper.
Anyway, after a very, very long time, WWise will be done installing. There's no need to open it, we're ready to move on. Now, a brief word about WWise licensing. The Audiokinetic website says, the free trial version allows you to create a project for non-commercial use only, and is limited to 200 media assets in the WWise sound banks. Now that means that technically speaking, if you're making a free mod and the only audio you're planning on adding is voice files, you don't actually strictly need a license. However, you can apply for one for free, and to be safe, my recommendation is that you do so. If I get any clarification on that from Bethesda or WWise, again I'll post an update in the description down below. In the meantime, here's how you apply. Go back to the Audiokinetic website, click on your name and select Register My Project. Then select Non-Commercial and tick WWise. Select I need more than 200 media assets and press Next. Now make sure you fill in the form with this specific formatting. Now for project name, type Starfield Mod, then a dash and your mod's name. So I'm going to go with Croc in space. For the description, just tell them a little bit about the mod. It doesn't desperately matter what you put in here, just give them a general sense of what you're working on. Put in some estimated dates for when you expect to finish pre-production on your mod. So I might go with October 31st, and an estimated release date. For WWise version, select 2021 1.148108 and select target platform Windows. Click Next. For company name, type individual. Company size. If it's just you, select freelancer. Now it does ask for your address. Don't worry, this won't be made publicly available. When you've done that, have a read of the license agreement and tick the box to acknowledge that you've read it and agree. Select next. Then scroll down to the bottom, tick this box, and hit submit. Now that has to be manually approved by a real person at Audio Connect. For me, it took about a day, but I expect that to take longer once more people start signing up, so be prepared for a little bit of a wait. However, there's nothing to stop you from getting started on your mod while you're waiting, so long as you don't actually release it. Once that comes through, go to My Projects, select Licenses, and click Get License Key, and copy that to your clipboard. Now go to your Starfield directory. So for me, that's program files times 86, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Starfield, and open the Tools folder. Then open WWise, Starfield, and double click on this starfield.wproj, which should now open WWise. Give it a little while to load. Now we need to apply your license key. So go to Project, License Manager, and click Paste from Clipboard. And then hit Save. And then you can close this down. That's the end of the licensing bit. Everybody has to follow the rest of these steps, whether they got a license or not. But Joseph, I hear you cry, can't we open the Creation Kit yet? No, there's still more setup to do. Go to your My Games Starfield folder, where your saves folder can be found, and in here we're going to create a new ini file. Now the easiest way to do that is to copy this Starfield prefs ini, if you have it, and rename it to Starfield Custom.ini. Open that up, delete everything inside, and in here you're going to type archive b invalidate older files equals 1. I'll put that in the video description for you to copy and paste if you like. Save that and close it. Now go back to your main Starfield directory under Steam Apps Common Starfield, and we're going to need to create a new ini here as well. So click on creationkit.ini and copy it, and rename this creationkit custom.ini. Open that up and delete everything. Now there's a few lines to put in here. I'll put them in the description down below so you can copy and paste them. Here's what it should look like. You need audio in square brackets at the top, and then underneath that you need B process audio for PC equals 1 and B process audio for XB equals 0. That means we're going to be generating WEM files that are compatible with PC and not with Xbox. You have to choose one or the other. If you choose both, the Xbox ones will overwrite the PC ones, and you'll find none of the lines you generate will actually play in the Creation Kit. So my recommendation is to generate them for PC for now, and if you want to do an Xbox release, you can set this to 1 later and generate the Xbox WEM files then. These next two lines, spath to voice output PC equals and spath to voice output XB equals, are where you can put your own custom file paths if you want to put those WEM files that are generated in a different folder than your standard data folder. My recommendation is to leave them blank for now, which means they'll just appear in your standard data/voice folder, which is where the Creation Kit needs them to be. This next line, b log WWise conversion output equals 1, means any errors that happen with WWise during your voice file conversion will be printed to the Creation Kit's error log, which is very useful for figuring out if something's gone wrong. The last line is a really important one, so be super careful that you get it right. It needs to be the location of your starfield.wproj file, so that can be found, again, under Tools, WWise, Starfield, and there's starfield.wproj. You can copy the path by clicking up here and doing a Control and C, and then you can go back to the ini file and paste it in, making sure you remember to keep the /starfield.wproj over there. So it's really important that this points to where it is on your PC because it might not be on the D drive like it is on my PC. Okay? Okay. Still one more thing to do before we can open the CK. Go back to your main Starfield directory under Steam Apps Commons Starfield, go to creationkit.exe, right-click on it, and select Properties. You're going to want to go to Compatibility and tell it to always run this program as an administrator. This whole WWise thing won't work unless you tick this. Hit Apply and press OK. Now we can open the CK, so double-click on it to do so. Once it's loaded, open up your mod, or if you haven't created it yet, go to File, Data, and double-click on the master files you want your mod to be dependent on, and then click OK. You'll probably have to wait quite a while for it to load. Once it's loaded, remember to save your mod. So click this Save icon, and give your mod a name. And hit Save. Then, if you haven't already done so, create your NPC. You can do that by going to Actor, right-clicking, select New, give your NPC an ID, and a name, and hit OK. Save again. Then go down to Character, Voice Type, right-click, select New, give an ID for this voice type, hit OK. Go back to the actor you created. Now, if you made a prefix, then that makes it quite easy to filter for it here. You can just type into this text filter, which acts as a search function. You can type your prefix in, open it up, then you're going to go to voice type here, and start to type in your prefix again. And there it is. So we've created your character with a voice type. And then check the unique box. Press OK. All dialogue in Starfield is contained within quests, so we're going to have to create one of those. Go to Character, Quest, right-click, select New, and again give your quest an ID and a priority. I recommend 70. Then hit OK and save again. One of the differences between Starfield and Skyrim is that in Starfield, all dialogue with the player is contained within scenes. So open up your quest, go to Scenes, right-click in this window, and select New. And let's call this JR Tutorial Follower Quest Greetings. Press OK. Now for our NPC to be able to speak in this scene, we need to make them a quest alias. So go over to the Quest Aliases tab, right-click in here and say New Reference Alias. Alias name. Again, I'm going to follow the same structure. And over on this side, you can click Unique Reference if you set your NPC to unique. Otherwise, you can do specific reference and fill them in with a specific instance of the NPC that you've placed in the game world. Anyway, under Unique Reference, you can type your prefix again, select, and then your NPC is going to fill that reference. Then hit OK. Go back to your scene. And now we can right-click and say New Actor. Select the alias you just created. And then under the first phase of the scene here, we're going to say New Action, Dialogue, and we can write our line. So I'm going to say, Greetings. Then I'm going to select under Head Tracking, Player Default, which means the NPC is going to look at the player when they say this line. I'm going to open up Greetings. And greetings there. And now we can see that the voice type hasn't actually filled in. Under the voice type column here, we have generic male even-toned and generic female even-toned. So to fix that, you actually have to press OK, and press OK again, and press OK again, and press OK again, and save, and then reopen the quest. And when you go back to the dialogue in the scene, you should find that it now has the voice type filled in. JR Tutorial Follower Voice Type. Now there's two different ways you can go about recording audio. The easiest is to do it with this record button here in the CK. So click that. Greetings. And now you should be able to play it back. Greetings. There we are, and hit save. Now you should see it fills in the seconds value, 3.95. This is important. If it leaves it at 0, it hasn't worked. You can also see under WAV, we now have a Y, means it's generated the WAV audio file, and under WEM, we also have a Y, which means WWise has worked, and we have our WEM file. Amazing. However, to get more control over your audio file, you're probably going to want to record it externally in something like Audacity, and then import that into the Creation Kit. Before I show you that, I'm going to show you where the Creation Kit has just put that file that we recorded, because that's where you're going to have to put any audio files you want to import. Go to Data, Sound, Voice, the name of your ESP, which here is JR Tutorial Follower, the name of your voice type, and then you can see the WAV file and the WEM file. If you don't use the Creation Kit to record a line for you, then you'll have to create that file structure yourself. I'm just going to delete these two files so we can show you how we import them from an external recording software instead. So for this example, we're going to use Audacity. So I've opened it up and I'm going to record my line. Greetings! And then Audacity's handy because I can delete the silence before and after my line to get rid of any awkward pauses in the dialogue. Now it's recorded, I'm going to export the file. So I'm just going to drag this to the start, go File, Export Audio. I'm going to call this greetings.wav. The format needs to be WAV, mono, sample rate 44,100 Hz, and encoding signed 16-bit PCM. Gonna hit export. And overwrite, because I actually had a file called greetings there before. Then I'm gonna take the file that I just generated and copy it into the file structure that the Creation Kit created for us. So the name of your ESP and the subfolder that is your voice type. And there's the file. Then we go back to the Creation Kit, and you can see here it says voice file name. So for this it's 00937BA7. Highlight that and copy it. Go back to your file here and rename it to 00937BA7. Exactly to match. Go back to the Creation Kit. Press OK. When you reopen this, you should see the WAV says Y. WEM says N, of course, because we've deleted that. And now you can't generate it again from here. Instead, you have to press OK, press OK, press OK, press OK, and then go over here to Audio and click Process Local Voice WAVs. Click that and just look out for errors over here in the warning window. Any errors to do with WWise might indicate there's been a problem. But hopefully there hasn't been, so we'll go back to Explorer, and look, we can see I now have a nice fresh WEM file. We'll just test if it worked. We go back to the Creation Kit again. We'll reopen my quest, reopen the dialogue, open up greetings there. And we can see, again, I can see the second says 3.95 there, which means this is a valid file. If it said 0, then I've got an invalid file. And if I double click it, I can play it. Greetings. There we are. To get the NPC to say this line when the player engages them in conversation, we need to mark it as a greeting. So select the scene, tick the player dialogue box, and tick the greeting scene box. And then press apply and save. And OK. Now, just so I can test this, I'm going to drop my NPC into the game. So I'm going to go back to Actor, find my NPC there. I'm going to go over here to the cell view window, and I'm going to find a cell. So here's the New Atlantis Lodge. I'm going to double click that to load up the cell. If it'll work. Here we are. somewhere in the lodge. It's quite tricky to learn to navigate. Then I'm going to grab my follower and I'm going to drag him over to this window and let go. And there he is. So now I should be able to go and see him in game. Now before he'll show up in game, I have to enable his ESP. So to do that, go to the Creations tab. Wait for that to load. It takes a little minute. And when it has, go to Load Order. Find your ESP. And check the box. Then go back. Press OK. And let's go and find him. So here I am in game, and here's my NPC. Let's go up and talk to him. Greetings. And there we are. If he doesn't talk straight away, one thing to try is a quick save and reload, as sometimes that can just kick them into gear. And that is it. You've now got audio in your mod. I know it was a hassle setting it up, but fingers crossed, you'll never have to do it again. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please do subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave me a friendly comment down below, and watch the Treacle people. Stay marvellous, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!
Most people take treacle for granted.
It comes in tins from the grocery store.
But for those who stop to think for just 1 minute, they'll find much more. Did you know that treacle's